Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my experience deciding to buy an EV, purchasing one, and then the real world experience of owning one. So I'm a bit of a self-professed petrol head. I've loved fun and fast and nice cars for, I guess all of my adult life. And I've been fortunate enough through probably a combination of hard work and a bit of luck, I think, to be able to afford some nice cars over my time, whether they were kind of family cars, Audis, BMWs, and a couple of fun cars. I've had a 911, actually a couple of 911s over time, and a Porsche Cayenne when the kids were younger and we needed lots of space. So I've always liked nice cars. Going back to around about mid-2019, my car at the time, an Audi A5 3-litre diesel, was about 4 years old and up for renewal. And I'd become interested in EV technologies. I work in the tech industry. I've always liked my tech, so it kind of appealed to me. And I'd become increasingly aware of the impact of climate change. I'd seen the David Attenborough videos. You could see the weather change, the science view. And I spent a little bit of time working out what CO2 footprint I had from my car, and it was shocking to find it was about 7 tons of CO2 a year. And that's partly because at the time, this is pre-COVID, I was doing a lot of miles commuting from my home. I live in the Cotswolds near Cirencester, and was working near Heathrow and going in 3 times a week. So I was doing about 30,000 miles a year roughly. And that was about 160 mile round trip, 1.5 hour round trip journey on this commute. So I looked at the sort of cars that I could get next. Thought Teslas looked rather nice, like the sound of the performance of them and a lot of the tech side of it as well. So I arranged a test drive with Tesla in Bristol. And as you do, I guess, when you're a garage, you show the best possible car you've got. So they put me in a Tesla Model S Performance, which is the craziest, fastest thing I've ever been in. I think it's 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds, which felt like, faster than a roller coaster. Certainly much quicker than the 911 ever was, and it made the Audi diesel seem like a dust cart. My youngest son Max sat in the back, and he said it was a kind of combination of fun and terrifying at the time, and he could barely get his head off the back headrest when it was accelerating. So for me, maybe it's a bit childish, but that certainly was a bit of selling it to me. However, sadly, I didn't have the funds to go out and buy a brand new one of those. So I looked in a bit more carefully. Could I buy a second-hand one at a reasonable price? And between that and a bunch of savings that we'll talk about later in fuel costs particularly, it's going to save me £2,500 a year in fuel. I could afford to buy a nice second-hand version. So I found one actually in a garage in Devon, which is where my wife and I's family come from originally, and we often go. So I went down, took a look and a test drive, and fell in love with this nice second-hand model. So it was a 2017 Model S. Model S is just the size, roughly, I guess the size of a 5 Series BMW, very roughly. Model S 75D. So 75 is just the size of the battery in kilowatt hours, which by current Tesla standards is actually quite small. As I'll describe later, has actually worked really well from a range perspective. And the 75, the D part of the 75 means dual motor. So it's 4-wheel drive motor at the front and back, round about 450 horsepower, 0 to 60, 4.2 seconds, which is faster than the 911 was, not quite as quick as the crazy performance version I tried, but still plenty quick enough for me. One of the things I did wonder about was, being a bit of a petrol head, was I going to miss this, the nice sound of a fast engine? And the reality was quite quickly, I wasn't that bothered. I quite liked the sound of a nice fast engine, but it wasn't, most of the driving pleasure was actually from the sort of sense of speed and enjoying the driving. Even though it was a big heavy car, it handled well, I would say, probably better than even the Porsche Cayenne. Not 911 territory, but as a big car it handled well and was certainly quick. Obviously for a smaller car, compared to other smaller 4-cylinder engines in the family, it just sounds better. 4-cylinder engines I don't think sound great at all. They're just a bit clattery. So I actually enjoyed the quietness on the long journeys and didn't really miss the raucous noise of an accelerating engine. So great car for me. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please comment. I promise to reply. I'd appreciate if you could subscribe, turn on notifications and like this video. It really helps the channel and you with the magic YouTube algorithm.